It's alive! Hi everyone, today I'm going to teach you how to make overnight sesame pumpkin sourdough bread. But before we start, thank you to all my subscribers because I finally hit the 100 mark, woo! You have no idea how much it means to me. I've been working really hard on improving the quality of my videos this month and I hope it's coming across. I'll continue to work hard and keep improving, and stay tuned for my next video for a special 100 subscribers themed bake, and of course for the topic of paying influencers for their work. If you're an oldie or a newbie, don't be shy, say hi in the comments. I don't bite, promise. Unless you're made of cake. Okay, on to this week's recipe. I wasn't kidding when I said that bubbly stuff is alive, because it is. This is a sourdough starter and it's basically fermented flour and water that's cultivated its own yeast and lactobacilli. That's a bacteria that produces lactic acid, which gives the sourdough its distinct flavour. I'm just quickly whipping up a starter now so you can see, but believe it or not, the one that you saw at the very beginning is 3 years old. I've been feeding it once a week in the fridge and keeping it alive ever since I got it. But if you're keeping it at room temperature, you'll have to feed it every day. It might take more than one day for a new batch of sourdough starter to really start bubbling, but it just depends on how cold or warm your kitchen is. The warmer the better, obviously, but obviously not too hot because you don't want to kill all those yeast cultures. Right, let's get started. For this you'll need some very bubbly active sourdough starter. I like to feed mine a few hours first and then wait for it to really bubble up. I've got 55 grams here. Pop that in a nice big bowl. And now I'm going to mix it with 115 millilitres of water. Add 90 grams of pumpkin puree. This stuff is just from a can, nice and easy. And now I'm about to severely offend sourdough experts all across the world by adding the salt and sesame seeds now instead of towards the end of the process. It just works best for me this way. You're supposed to do it in certain stages, but I add everything all together. Works the same. Alright, 30 grams of wholemeal bread flour. You can just add all plain flour actually if you want, but I like a little bit of wholemeal. Followed by 250 grams of strong white bread flour. And you know things are about to get very serious when my wedding rings come off. Sorry Mr. Tash Cakes, but I'm about to get a bit hands-on for this so I don't want bits of dough stuck under my rings. It's all good. Mr. Tash Cakes knows that I'm married both to him and my food. So that's the dough pretty much done. This is the easiest part. The hardest part comes now, which basically involves a lot of waiting. We have to shape it 4 times. In between each of the 4 times, wait half an hour. This bit you can't take shortcuts on, I've tried. As you can see, I've lightly floured my work surface, and you're going to see me pull the dough outwards, fold it in, turn it, pull it out again, and you can stop at this point, but I pull it a 3rd time. Shape it into a ball, and then I cover it with cling film to rest for 30 minutes. So it's been 30 minutes now and I'm going to slow down the footage so you can see the way I shape it a bit more clearly. Dusting a little bit more flour so it doesn't stick. Pull it out to the sides and stretch it, fold it into the middle into thirds. Turn 90 degrees, pull it again, fold, and if it's a bit tough at this moment, that means it's good, you're building good gluten. If it's still a bit stretchy, give it another turn and another fold like I'm doing here. Shape it into a ball-ish type shape, and then you're just going to cover and wait another 30 minutes, I'm afraid. Do it all over again for a 3rd time and wait another 30 minutes. And now we have the 4th and final shaping, doing the exact same thing, but now you can see the sesame seeds starting to pop out, and that's great. That means you've got a lot of gluten in there and there's a lot of springiness in there. Just shaping it into a bit more of a ball shape. And now I'm going to pop it in my proving basket, also known as a banneton. The sock-like thing is just a muslin to help it not stick, which I'm going to dust with more plain flour. And now you can watch me struggle with the insanely simple task of putting the muslin on. I should make a playlist called Tash Cake Struggles, honestly. Dusting it with flour for extra non-stick insurance. You're supposed to use corn flour, but again, I rebel. I just use ordinary plain flour. It works. Pop your bread baby in the basket. I'm just pinching any seams closed, and I'm going to put it seam side up because when I flip it over the next day, I want the pretty side to be on top. And now here's the easiest part. Go to sleep. All you have to do is cover this with cling film and go to sleep for, I don't know, 8 to 10 hours and wait for this baby to rise. Good morning, bread baby. I really shouldn't call it that because we're about to bake it. You can't get too attached to these things. Right, at this point you need to preheat the oven to 250 degrees Celsius, which is very hot I know, but you need that high temperature. Flip this onto some baking paper, dust it with flour, and now my favourite part is scoring patterns with a scalpel. Well, I'm just using a craft knife. You can buy a dedicated bread scoring razor called a lame or a Knead, but you can use a knife, and as I'm using here, just a really cheap craft knife. Now the reason why you're scoring stuff in it is because you want the bread to have a bit of extra give to rise. It will rise anyway, I think, but this way you're giving it designated places to crack and rise so it looks a bit prettier. As you can see, I'm making that last long score reasonably deep to give it extra room to rise. Right, now I'm going to pop it in my casserole dish, bake it covered for 20 minutes, and then uncover it and bake it for a final 10 minutes to give it a nice crunchy crust. As you can see, I had a bit of a fracture where I put the hearts. I think I needed to score a few more hearts nearer that big crack at the top. But no matter, I think it's still beautiful. You're beautiful to me, my baby. Now I waited just a couple of minutes for the paper itself to cool so I could lift the bread out onto a cooling rack. And now as you can see, the paper's cool but the bread is not, so I'm suffering here. Ouch. Don't try this at home. Well, do try this at home, that's the whole point of this video. I mean, wait a few more minutes for it to cool before you manhandle it. And now listen to that crunch. Ah, the pumpkin puree makes it so soft and springy, I love it. The sesame does come through a bit stronger than the pumpkin, I must admit, but I was too scared to add too much pumpkin because I didn't want a soggy bread. I think this was just right. These tiny pumpkins have appeared in 3 of my videos now. Don't worry, I gave them a good home. After giving them a good roasting, I ate them. Thanks for watching guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Catch me next Wednesday for my next Cook and Chat video, and in the meantime find me on Instagram as TashCakesTastes, and visit my blog tashcakes.com for full written out recipes. Stay safe, be nice, and have a good week. You're still here? Since you're still here, let's take a look at what my new sourdough starter looks like a day and a half into its fermentation. It's also alive!